Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton.
And I am
Is
Mantis.
that going right this time?
Going it right
Am
this
I right
way.
about this? Okay,
You did.
I have to go
Yes.
opposite.
Yeah.
And today we are discussing Superman. I know, big shock, but this time we are talking about the absolute universe and diving more in depth into that. Mantis, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm absolutely ready, actually.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we did a video a couple weeks back about the summer of Superman. Which is starting in April of 2025. We are going to see a whole slew of Superman-related comics coming out, which has already kind of started with the Absolute universe, as well as the Justice League Unlimited comic book that is out. I believe issue 3 is the last one. I have that one. I think that's the last one so far. So we thought, with all of the mixed reviews that we've had on the look of the trailer, in our
hmm
comments and everything, we would kind of maybe take a break from the Superman, the CG and what's not CG, and just the overall. A lot of people did not like the look of the trailer itself. There's a lot of unhappy
hmm
people. So we thought we'd bring it into a different realm, and we would start talking about a little more in depth about the absolute universe and what is going on thus far. Now, Mantis, I know you're behind an issue or two on certain ones here. Do you want to kind of kick us off with Absolute Superman?
No, because I haven't read this Absolute Superman. I could do Absolute Batman, which I think was the first release, of the Absolutes, aside from the DC All In. Could be wrong.
The All In DC special was the first. That's what birthed the
Oh, we could
Absolute
start with that.
Universe.
We
Um,
could technically start with that if you want, because technically you're right. Like, there's a overall arcing theme to these absolute line of comics.
well, so now we went through that in the Absolute Superman, or the Summer of Superman video. We did go
Oh, we
through
did.
kind of how the well, I did, so you probably weren't listening.
Oh, well, that could be. It could be.
I called him up. He gave us some crap about not listening, or so. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, I called her up. She gave me a bunch of crap about me not listening to her enough or something. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention.
No, but like we did a quick a quick speed through on it. Is for those of you who don't know, the Absolute Universe was birthed by Darkseid when he was trying to bond with the Spectre. Right, he had the Miracle Machine. He made the wish that he would be the one that the Spectre bonded with, but the Spectre was not having it. And in the last moments, as the Spectre tried to separate, Darkseid creates the Absolute Universe, which puts the heroes in much
Mhm.
darker times than they
I
are
would
used.
say yes. Like I said, I'll start with the.
Start with
I-
Batman.
I'll just I'll just touch on it a little bit. Yeah, because again, we don't. We actually were talking about this before we started this recording about even doing this video because of we don't. But it was mainly Cal's concern for ruining my experience with the Absolute Universe because I haven't read all of them that he has. Um, but I will just start with my first impressions of the Absolute Batman series so far, which he just informed me the fifth issue just came out. So that is that the little mini series, which again he also informed me of. Instead of doing these long, 30 issue, I won't call it, for but lack of a better term, storylines, they've compacted those down now. So they're going to be in a smaller form fact, which with all of these, it's going to be 5 issues. So that's awesome. I was telling him I really appreciate that as a person who started to collect some of the Gambit issues from back in the day, and trying to find specific ones are just kind of a pain in the butt.
Well,
Where
I feel like they took that from TV shows, right? Where you had like Arrow
yeah,
first and all that was 20 and 30, 24, 25 episodes. And now Netflix comes
yeah,
out and Amazon, there's 6 to 8.
shorter, right? Yeah, you get a lot, but it's like there's less filler, because that's one of the biggest complaints I had. Obviously, I'm sure all of you guys did as well. I'm going to go on a tangent here that has nothing to do with the comic books.
with Smallville.
Um, yeah, with Smallville, with really with most comic book, and even really like, because I love like science fiction, they do it with that too. But it's like you have these episodes where the main plot is not talked about or even touched on for 2 or 3 episodes, and you're just like, what are we even doing here? I don't care that you know Ethel, that owned the flower store, got kidnapped by a mutant, or what do they call them in Smallville?
Meteor Freak.
Meteor freaks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I that's great, but old Meteor Freak B is gonna die in the next episode or the end of this one, because he only got cast for this single episode and they're not gonna pay him more. And then Ethel was just an extra they pulled off the street for $100 to go say a few lines. Like,
And then
it
get
just
killed.
seems like, yeah. I mean, it just like, I hate that. Like, I get why they do it. It's just because they have to fill the roster, because for the production of the and signing of the WB's television network for the, what is it? I forget what they are. It's like they have the summer or fall block, right? And then
Yeah, the
they
fall
have,
lineup, and then they have the
yeah. So
spring
yeah,
lineup.
so I get they're trying to fill 30, 25, 24 episodes or whatever it is. I just don't appreciate filler episodes. I think they're stupid. It's lazy. And part of the funny thing we were discussing about why I enjoy a shorter, compact storyline. And with these, there's only 5 episodes for instance, for Absolute Batman, there's 5 episodes, right? And Cal informed me that they're going to stick with 5 issues, and then they will start the next one, right? There's a new, for lack of a better term, a storyline associated with that. Because when I'm thinking about, like, if there's 20 to 30 issues in a line, like, I can't remember what happened 2 issues ago. Like, how do you expect me to follow what's happening, right? That's something I did appreciate with the Absolute series, was they did reference things in the past issue, but it wasn't overwhelming. And also, if it's only going to go 5, I feel comfortable being able to follow what's happening to the end, because, right, like, again, these are stories, right? Story writing is the same as playwriting, as films, right? There's crescendos, there's acts throughout this story, so it's easy for me to follow. It's easier for me to reference things back that didn't happen, you know 8 months ago in this comic book series. So it's I think it's I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you comic book nuts, and maybe Cal. I don't know if they've ever done something like this on a whole ongoing series of, and I think they're doing 6 different series here with Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern. I don't know if they've ever done just a short, compact version of all of these in this large of a rollout of the all DC All In series. So
Well, so what they kind of did with the Absolute Power, because that wasn't its own universe, so it was a continuation of stories, but then it branched off where you had Absolute Power Origins, you had Absolute Power Task Force 7, you had all these different, which that was the task force that was rounding them up, and like they were Amanda Waller, and they were depowering the superheroes, but you had these different variants of the Absolute Power within, and kind of like they're going to do with the Absolute universe here, is like you have the Batman, and then you have the Superman, the Wonder Woman, Flash will be coming out, Green Lantern will be coming out, and then I feel like once all of them have their little runs, then they're probably going to do something where they'll start bringing them, crossing them over, right?
together,
And then you'll have a
yeah.
couple comic book run on that, because even Absolute Power started to get a little overwhelming. Like there's, I mean, the one I've got sitting right over here is like issue 17, right? Well, I'm like, that's that one in particular did run longer, but all of the other ones were shorter runs within it, because that was like the main story. And then you had these little branch offs, and they'll probably end up doing something like that with Superman, where he'll stay the central theme, and then other things will branch off, or they'll have their fives, and then they'll bring everything kind of tying in. But yeah, when you think 20 and 30 issues, like that's almost 3 years. That's
Yeah.
almost 2 to 3 years worth of one storyline, a comic, man, and you're just kind of like, shit. And
I
then the
just feel
problem is,
exhausted.
well, the problem is what you don't want to do is when you have these big runs, is like for me, if I catch a run in issue 7 or 8 and I can't get the first 5 or 6 in actual individual comic form, and I have to just buy the book of it, I'm just gonna wait till the full thing comes out, right? So then I'm gonna
Mhm.
not only you're gonna miss out on each individual sale of all of them, but then it'll just be the one with the book that has everything because I want each individual issue. I don't want the booklet that gives me the book of it that gives me the first 8 or 9 issues, and then have the individuals. That's why I've got all of the absolute Supermans, all the absolute Batmans, all the absolute Wonder Woman sitting here. I want all of them, right? I'm a collection guy. So if I don't get to catch a run or if I start missing issues before I had a trusty comic book guy, we should be okay. But uh,
It's
he
frustrating.
yeah,
Also, the big book with everything in it, while if your end goal is to know the storyline, that's fine. But I have a feeling most of the people that would want that one book with everything in it, is not even remotely appealing as it is to have each individual issue, right? Like it's not the same thing.
it's not to me, right? Because I have several of
Yeah.
the ones that I wasn't able to start on, and I was just like, and you want that. The other thing is too, guys, and let me know down in the comments how you feel about this, and then I promise we're going to get into the meat and potatoes here. He pulled us off on the tangent, guys. Remember that. But like comics aren't the easiest thing to read, right? Because you're looking at all the pictures, you're trying to like kind of,
Mhm.
graphically imagine the story and you're following it. And it's not like you're sitting down and just reading a book and just going through, right? They take a little bit of time because you're focused and all that stuff. So if you have a book that's that fucking thick of this entire story, that's going to be a tough read, right? You're not just going to kind of sit through that in one. And that's where comics kind of break it up, right? You get to read an issue
Right.
and then like the way they've been doing the releases is like, okay, Superman released last week, Batman released this week, Wonder Woman's going to release next week. You have that, and then you get to go to the comic book store and talk to other nerds about Absolute Batman, which Mantis is
Mhm.
going to do right now.
Yes. So again, as we kind of
Like that
Cal
segue.
alluded to, we talked. We yes, perfect segue. We talked in another video about Absolute. This is more of a darker telling. I say darker.
Darkness, everybody! Everyone! Darkness is spreading!
Realistically, what happened with Darkseid, and he basically, I won't say reshaped, but it's more of an influence of these characters in this universe. His Darkseid's, as we all know, he's a bad guy, right? Like if you could think, if he had an essence, right? Like his being, his essence influenced the characters, the superheroes in the Absolute universe. Um,
So,
yes.
can I say one thing real quick? The way this week's going, I am looking for the anti-life equation as well. Okay, I
Yeah,
feel for Darkseid.
it's not been a good week. So,
I feel for Darkseid, so I was almost saying.
there, there's times where it's like I wish I was Thanos, because
I just
it's
feel
like
like Darkseid had a few bad weeks. Okay, he's not all
yeah.
bad, but please go
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So there's, with Batman, there's a different take on the character. I won't say a completely different take, because
He's still
it's
dark.
yeah, like it's Batman's hard to explain there, because again, he kind of teeters on the fringe, right? It's not. I'm not saying he's like the OG Batman's an anti-hero, but if I could say Absolute Batman is, he skirts the edges of hero stuff, right? Like
He is a
he does
vigilante.
things. He is a vigilante. Even in the OG Superman, he's a vigilante. But there's things that he does in this where you would be like, okay, OG Batman would never do that, right? Like I guess I was talking to Cal, like throughout. I don't want to, again, we're not trying to ruin the storyline of this, but there's a panel where he's fighting the, oh god, now what are they called, the
the red
group that has the
the skull.
skull. Yeah, but I don't know what they're called. Like I forget what they're actually called now. Now it looks like I know what I'm talking about. But there's a name for them that it doesn't sound. It's not like the Skull Gang, but it's something else. I can't remember what it's called. I'll look it up while he's talking in the next section, or he can look it up now. But there's a section where Batman's fighting this group or whatever. It's in a high rise building, And there's
Oh,
for
I know what you're talking
there's
about.
like yeah, there's a bunch of like it's like an aquarium surrounding this lobby, right? And so he's like, fighting him or whatever, and some of the glass breaks and some water comes in, right? And like he all of this is being told like narrated from the side of Alfred, who's older in this comic series. He's an older Alfred, still badass, right? He can kick some ass when he needs to. But he takes this uh like little ball of vinegar based nonsense and throws it in the water and turns it into hydrochloric acid, basically, where all these bad guys are standing, right? Like that's something that normal OG Batman wouldn't do. It's something maybe after a push comes to shove that Batfleck may end up doing. As we've seen some of that tendencies in the Batman v Superman movie of maybe breaking someone's head open is really not that big a concern to a Batman that's been through some shit. In this case, this Batman, kind of the same, past trauma nonsense is for sure, but also there's this influence of Darkseid, right? So the whole holier than out stuff, maybe not as a big difference in the Batman universe. I'm sure Cal's going to talk about Absolute Superman, where that may be a big difference.
The
It's a
party animals.
party animals.
I don't know
Yes.
why I could not think of that, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just back and reading on issue 3 here.
Yes.
The party animals. See, I broke.
Yes.
That's what I do
Yes.
for you guys.
So yeah, there's things that maybe those characters wouldn't normally do. The OG characters, that they have this influence, this essence of Darkseid in this universe that has kind of weeded its way into the heroes of the DCU, and it's a refreshing take, I think, on them, because again, we all like Frank Miller's Batman. I'm assuming everyone loves Frank Miller's Batman, who kind of is more experienced, older, and pushes those boundaries of what a superhero can be. That's why I say a lot. And again, I haven't read any of the Superman stuff, but I would assume they're more akin to anti-heroes, right? Like they push the boundaries of, we're still kind of good because these the party animals are going around fucking shit up, right? So we want to get rid of them, but how we do it is maybe up for debate.
So you haven't read any of the Absolute Superman?
No, I've got them. I've not read them yet. Yes.
Okay. So without spoiling anything,
Except for
issue 1. Okay. Without spoiling anything,
4, because you picked up 4. Yeah.
Oh, you have them all, but you haven't read any of them. But you're
Right.
saying you didn't have 4 because I've got it for you.
Because you got it for me. Yes.
So without spoiling anything in that, and we've spoiled a little bit in the Summer of Superman video, it's the same situation, right? Like he's doing vigilante-ish style. It's darker. He has to do some bad to do all the good, right? Like people are, will get injured, things like that. So again, that the darkest version of themselves they can be while still being good. Whereas I say with Diana in the Absolute Wonder Woman series is kind of like the opposite. I mean, she is raised by Circe as her mom in hell, and she's always just good, right? Like she goes up there and she's trying to defend all the people from this big sea creature, and she's always good. So it's ironic that like where Batman his origins in there in the Absolute universe versus his real ones are still both
it's
tragic.
Kind of the same.
Yeah,
yeah, they're both
really
very
change
kind of the same. Yeah,
too much, a little different because I mean,
a little. Yeah,
he still has one of them, right? So like he's got a parent, so it's seemingly actually better than his original, but still dark. Whereas Superman's origins, kind of completely changed, where he had actually a more of a darker one on Krypton because he actually got to spend time there. But Wonder Woman's is like she grew up obviously in the regular Wonder Woman. She grew up in this fucking Paradise Island, Themyscira, versus now she's down in hell, So
I call it Scissor Island.
Yes, because no men allowed. So what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh, we're scissoring. Oh yeah, scissor.
So It's definitely it's a very interesting take. I love that kind of take, and I feel like for a lot of people who kind of tying it back to how we began this video, uh, that you don't if you're not really happy with how the Superman movie's looking, and you are more because you're more of the Zack Snyder fan, you like the darker, grittier Superman, Man of Steel, Justice League, Batman v Superman, then I feel like the Absolute Universe is right up your alley, right?
Mhm.
Go check that out. Definitely go read them.
Hey, the best part about it is it just started, like literally the end of last year. Like it's not out of reach. Like these storylines haven't been in there. Like again, there's three versions. I say versions. Like the Flash, Man, Manhunter, Green Lantern haven't even started yet. You're it. That again, this is something else on the big picture thing where it's so frustrating is missing that early part of when something starts or a series of a comic book starts. You're like, damn, why did I wish I would have gotten that when it first started. It's not too late. It's not too late, guys. Get in there now on it.
Well, see, I hadn't realized that Justice League Unlimited started, and I was like, "Oh shit!" When I finally realized that it had released, guys, because I don't have a lot of time to keep up on release dates, and I need to get some alerts set up. Well, now my comic book guy does that, but um, I went in and was able to pick up all three issues, issue 1, 2, and 3 of the Justice League Unlimited, and now I'm set up to where I will get an issue held back for me. I'll be spending like $100 a month at comics, but that's okay. Um, Spent it on worse. So
Buy local.
yes, buy local. Like I love being able to have a local comic book store now. Now the guy's kind of warmed up to me. Like I go in there, he knows my name now, and we have conversations. I was always wondering if you watch previous videos. I was like, he's very standoffish, and he doesn't. I'm like, well, because he's probably just thinks you're in there being a douche. You're just trying to get one issue here or get something. Because I did always kind of go in and ask for niche issues that I'm like, there's no fucking way this tiny comic book store is gonna have that. Now he sees I'm in there every fucking week getting comic books from him, and now he's warmed up like, hey, I'm like Norm and fucking Cheers. You walk in there.
Afternoon, everybody.
Oh, no! How's life treating you, Norm?
He caught me in bed with his wife.
Plus he likes it because obviously I've got the whole fucking sleeve, and now we just added Rogue and fucking Captain America and all that. So he loves that. I've got the fucking tattoos as well. So definitely check out the Absolute series though. It's one until if you go and get everything now, absolutely the Summer of Superman in April will start. And then, you'll have all of those to go and kind of tide you over to the movie. And if you're just not really feeling the movie, then it'll still tide you over until
The
I don't
next
know what'll
failure.
happen. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like the way the Superman movies looks, then you may just be without Superman for a while, unless in comic book form. And if you saw our lawsuit
Unfortunate.
video, you may be out longer than that. We don't
Yeah.
know. At least if depending
Depending on what country
territory
you live
you're
in.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
all right, guys. Mantis, do you have anything before we wrap up this episode?
No, just again, it like you had already mentioned. If you're kind of teetering on, well, I kind of like comic books, but I don't know where to start. But I like DC. I feel like this is a good spot to jump in on these on the absolute stuff. Um, and again, we're almost halfway through the release schedule of all of them. Again, you reminded me the last that's going to be released here in this first three series is going to be Superman, and you can readily find these even if you don't have a comic book store near you, which is a big problem for a lot of people. If you live in BFE, right? There's not, I'm sorry, I love comics and I love comic movies. I'm not driving 30 minutes to go grab a comic book. It's just not. I don't like them that much. If you out there in BFE, look online. You can find them. You'll be paying shipping, but what I would say is bundle them together. If you want to start, just for instance, if you want to start this Batman episode or issue 5 just came out, so all the Batmans are out for Absolute Batman. You can probably find several of them together from one seller and save on shipping. Just my advice on that.
Yes. Because you know how if you are fans of the channel, Mantis and I have said many, many times, like I don't want to read it on a screen. I spend my entire
I don't.
day at work on screens. Well, 90% on screens. I come home, we do this
Mhm.
channel, I do the editing, I'm on screens for everything else, and then I have to try to go and force myself to play a video game because it's on a fucking screen too, which I do. Don't worry, it's fine. But like I don't, I want to break from screens, right? I'm not the guy that's always going to be on phone, so I like having the copy to read, sitting there on laying down on the fucking bed and reading a goddamn comic like I was 12 freaking years old, even though I'm in my
Yeah.
40s. I'm okay with that, right? I like having that,
Yeah.
like just kind of shutting your brain off from all the outside world bullshit, just reading your comic and then going to the
Yep.
next issue and going to the next issue. So, I hope, and based off of how when we did the Summer of Superman video, that one seemed to do really well, and you guys seem to like that. I'll try to do this in similar fashion. Let us know down in the comments, guys. How you're feeling about comics versus the movie getting ready to come out versus the trailer. Do you want to see us start doing more in-depth videos on like particular issues, going issue by issue? I didn't want to. We're kind of testing the waters. I don't want to inundate the channel with a bunch of, hey, we're going to do a 20-minute review of this one issue of a comic and like read it to you damn near like some channels do. Not saying that's bad. I actually do like those, but if you guys don't, we don't want to do that. So let us know. Do you want to see kind of more in depth of particular issues that come out or storylines?
We'll do it.
We can do that as well. So
yeah. Also, let us know because again, maybe there's someone out there that's maybe I know we have some MCU fans, or you're a fan of both MCU and DCU, depending on what the character is. Is there some comic book series we should get into on the MCU side? Because like I said, I'm a
the
Gambit
Marvel
fan,
side.
so
Let's not say the MCU side. The
Well,
Marvel.
sorry, yeah, Marvel.
The
Marvel,
Marvel side.
yeah.
Don't go
The
crazy.
Marvel side, like I do like I love Gambit, so so if there's another
He's going to be here eventually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Gambit's going where Booster is on this side.
Boosters.
Gambit will be on this
Okay.
side here. So Gambit will be on there because
Okay.
I do love Gambit as
You
well.
should put you know what you should do? You should put him near Rogue is what you should do. I know he's not, but
He's gonna be right here. Well, he'll be here. So I mean, he'll be next to Rogue, well, kind of like above Rogue. I mean,
okay.
I guess I could do him
You
on the other
do
side, but
you
I'm trying to match for match, right? So like Rogue's here, Wonder Woman's here,
yeah.
and then I'm gonna do like Wolverine here, where Green Arrow's here. So I'm matching them, kind of like Captain America and Thor are there and there versus Superman and Batman. I'm trying to match the sides.
I'm just saying with the storyline of Gambit, put him near Rogue. He's got a thing.
Especially in X-Men 97.
Or Magneto. You could throw Magneto next to him.
We're not doing any villains. So the body's going to go.
Okay,
I'm going to start doing villains here, right? That's going to actually go on the body where they're going to be like kind of facing each other to go do whatever. Arms are just staying superheroes. So
okay, gotcha.
I'm going to be one big fucking comic book by the time I'll be a walking comic book by the time I'm done. All right,
that
guys.
way when you die, I can just put the issue on you. I can just read it on your body.
Well, here's the scroll. No. Sorry. All right,
I see the tower.
Which, luckily, most of you probably are not watching by this time anyways. We're going to go ahead and wrap the episode before we get banned. So, until next time, guys, we will see you then.
Later. It's Avengers Tower.